Morning everyone. I'm just going to start by going through the word meanings from yesterday. Well done to those of you who sent in your work. Okay, so the first word was the word expedition. You should have used the steps to success over here in red. So I know from my knowledge of SPAG that expedition has to be a noun in this phrase because there's a determiner before. An expedition is actually a journey. So somebody's going on an expedition. It means they're going on a journey. So you can see some people here who are travelling. Next word, a journalist. The word journalist is a very popular word at the moment. Everywhere on television, there's lots of journalists. Again, I know it's a noun because of the position of the word in this phrase. And a journalist is actually somebody who works for the news or a newspaper, and it's somebody really who finds out what's going on in the world, asks lots of questions. So, for example, Piers Morgan, who's on television in the morning, he is a journalist, somebody who asks lots of questions and wants to find out what's going on. Next word, we entered a region. Again, I know it has to be a noun because it's got a determiner before. So a region is actually a part of a place. So you can see here, this is a country that has been broken up into different regions, and each region has got a different colour. A considerable bog, that's actually a noun phrase. So we've got a determiner a, considerable adjective, and a bog is a noun. Now the word bog in this context does not mean a toilet. A bog, which is in this picture here, is a kind of a really big puddle in the middle of a field or a piece of land. So, you know, if it was raining really heavily here and you were about to play football, you might say, oh, the pitch is a bit boggy, which means it's really soggy and there's lots of water. A brisk wind. Now, in this phrase, I know that the word brisk has to be an adjective. Again, because it's got a determiner before, and in this phrase, the wind is actually a noun. Now, you might have heard the phrase, I'm going on a brisk walk. It means that somebody's going on quite a fast walk. So if I put the word quick here, it means a quick wind. Next one, beyond was an open glade. Now, I have to be honest, I didn't actually know what this word meant. Now, the word glade is actually a geography term, a geography phrase, which I really didn't know. And a glade is an open area of forest. So you can see here there's a really thick forest, lots of trees, but actually there's a piece of land here that doesn't have any trees. So it refers to an open land of grass where there are no trees. Next one, beyond, so we've just done that one. They had slate coloured skin. Now I know that slate coloured has to be an adjective because it's describing the skin, and slate is actually this colour here, so it's a grey type of colour. You might have a kitchen floor this colour or tiles, or you might have it in your bathroom, but it's a colour, it's a type of grey colour. Okay, then we have the word spectacle. Now again, that's a noun phrase. Marvellous is the adjective and a spectacle. Now when I think of the word spectacle, it reminds me of the word spectacular. In this sentence, it is actually a noun, and it's referring to something that looks really, really good. So you might say, oh, that's a complete spectacle, which means it's a really good view. So you can see here there's like a view of the sunset, which you might say is a spectacle. Next word is the word, this was quite tricky, unwieldy gambles. Now again, I have to be honest, I didn't know what either of these words meant, and I tried all the steps of success, and I still didn't really know what they meant. So I can tell you the word unwieldy, it refers to something that's really difficult to kind of manage. So you can see there's a picture here of a man with something really heavy on his back that he's really struggling to carry. And gambles is actually a verb, and it means to jump. So if we're looking at unwieldy gambles in this phrase here, it means it's something that's jumping around that's really hard to control. So I'd be really surprised if anyone got that, unless you obviously had a look. a bunch of foliage. You might have heard the word foliage. Foliage refers to lots of leaves, so a picture here of lots of leaves, it's a noun. And the last one, comrades, again we know it has to be a noun because my is a determiner, possessive determiner. And comrades actually refers to a group of men who are friends. Okay, hope that helps. Really important that we need to know what all of these words mean before we start reading the text. So today we are going to have a look at the text. And here is an introduction of the text before we start reading. And remember, an extract means a part of a text. So if you were having a tooth extracted, it means you'd be having a part taken out of your mouth. Let's start reading. This is an extract from The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, written in 1912. Professor Challenger has claimed that he discovered dinosaurs in a distant part of South America. He is now on an expedition to prove his story with another scientist, Professor Summerlee. Also on the expedition are Lord John, an explorer, and Malone, a journalist. In this extract, narrated by Malone, the men are about to set off into the remote area where Professor Challenger believes they will find dinosaurs. Okay, so we're hearing about these different people here. Professor means a scientist, and we know it's going to be narrated, which means the story is going to be told by somebody called Malone. So it's going to be from his viewpoint. And we know that the title is The Lost World. Funnily enough, before I started looking at this text, I did have an idea or a guess that this could be something to do with dinosaurs. Let's find out. We slowly and cautiously set forth into the unknown. After a few hundred yards of thick forest, we entered a region where the stream widened out and formed a considerable bog. High reeds grew thickly before us, with tree ferns scattered amongst them, all of them swaying in a brisk wind. Suddenly, Lord John, who was walking first, halted. "Look at this," said he. "This must be the trail of the father of all birds." An enormous three-toed track was imprinted in the soft mud before us. "I'll stake my good name," said Lord John, "that the track is a fresh one. See, here is the mark of a little one too." "But what of this?" cried Professor Summerlee, triumphantly pointing to what looked like the huge print of a 5-fingered human hand appearing among the three-toed marks. "Not a bird." "A beast?" "No, a reptile, a dinosaur. Nothing else could have left such a track." Okay, so hopefully you've got an idea as to what's happening, and hopefully the word bog and brisk and all of those words that we looked at the beginning now make sense to you. So first few questions I want you to have a go at. Yes, these look easy, but actually some of these are quite tricky. But they really get you thinking. Some of them are retrieval questions, which means the answer's in the text. Some of them are inference, which means you have to try and look for clues to work out your answer. So question 1, A, B, C and D are multiple choice, all based on that text we've just read. Then I would like you to have a go at number 2 and 3. How far into the forest did the stream become a considerable bog? That's retrieval. And number 3, how does the first paragraph suggest that the characters are in a lost world? Give evidence. So, for that question, number 3, you might have point on one side, evidence on the other. How do I know that they are in a lost world? What does it say in the text that tells me they are in somewhere that they've perhaps not been before? Right, then an inference task. We've done this in school a lot of times. I'd like you to read the first part of the text again. So go back, read it again. And I'd like you to draw what, if you were drawing a picture of what that text said, what would it look like? So, really think, this is inference. What would it look like and how would you draw it? And could you label it for me? We did that when we read the book about Fliss and the dream. We drew what we read and we labelled what it looked like. So I'd like you to read this first page again and draw the setting based on what you've read and label it for me. I hope that makes sense. That's your task for today, and I'll get in touch with you tomorrow with the answers. Have a great day, all of you, and take care.